I'm just going to speak a little bit about these passages that we have heard read now.
接下来我来讲几句关于我们刚刚阅读的圣经的章节。
In 1992, the psychologist John Gray published the book Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus.
1992年，心理学家约翰·格雷出版了一本书，叫做《男人来自火星，女人来自金星》。
And his big idea was that most problems in relationships arise because of the fundamental differences between men and women.
他的主要观点是，人际关系中的大多数问题都是由于男女之间的根本差异而产生的。
As the title says of the book, it's almost like men and women come from two different planets.
正如书的标题所说，男人和女人几乎就像来自两个完全不同的星球一样。
The book sold more than 15 million copies, and it was the highest ranked in nonfiction.
这本书的销量超过了1500万册，在90年代获得了非小说类的最高评分。
Now today, many people might think this was just in the 90s.
现在大家可能会认为这只是90年代。
We have moved on from such old-fashioned ideas.
而今天的我们已经摆脱了这些过时的想法。
Now we're enlightened and we know men and women are the same.
我们现在变得更开明了，我们认为男人和女人是一样的。
But not a week goes by in our country without feminist issues being raised and discussed.
但是在我们的国家，每一周都有讨论女权主义问题。
Not a week goes by where men and women form separate groups and complain about each other.
每一周都有男人和女人组成的群体在互相抱怨。
In the movie Diary of a Mad Black Woman, Michelle lashes out, "You men are all alike."
在电影《疯狂的黑人女人日记》中，女主角米歇尔猛烈抨击说：“你们男人都一样。”
To which the man replies, "Yes, and you women are so angry. No wonder that husband of yours left you."
而男人反驳说：“是的，你们女人太会生气了，难怪你的丈夫离开了你。”
And I'm sure we can see this in our own lives. No matter how much we love our husbands or wives, sometimes we just have to go and be with our friends of the same sex.
我相信你在自己的生活中也看到了这一点。不管你多么爱你的丈夫或妻子，有时候你们就是需要分开一会儿，和各自的同性朋友在一起。
At times, the relationship between men and women almost seems like a war.
有时候，男女之间的关系几乎就像一场战争。
So it still seems true that men are from Mars and women from Venus.
所以，男人来自火星，女人来自金星，这似乎仍然是真理。
But for all the differences between men and women, and all the reasons why they don't always get along, there is actually a stronger power that can unite them.
但是，尽管男人和女人之间存在种种差异，尽管他们不能总是相处融洽，但有一种更加强大的力量可以将他们团结起来。
And that is the power of grace.
而这就是恩典的力量。
Grace is a very Christian word you often hear in churches, but what exactly is it?
恩典是一个你经常在教会听到的非常基督化的词，但它到底是什么呢？
Grace is love that seeks you out and accepts you even when you have nothing to give.
恩典是一种爱，即使你一无所有，它也会寻找你并接受你。
Grace is love that welcomes you and affirms you even after you push away.
恩典是一种即使在你推开它之后，依然欢迎和肯定你的爱。
You experience grace when you learn that you are loved even when you don't deserve it.
尽管你可能并不可爱，但当你被爱时，你就会体验到恩典。
And so, in a simple way, grace is one-way love. It's love that has nothing to do with you and everything to do with the person who loves you.
简单的说，恩典是单向的爱，这种爱与你无关，而与爱你的人有关。
Even though men and women are different and don't always get along, the only power strong enough to bring them together is grace.
尽管男人和女人不同，而且相处常常不融洽，但唯一足以克服这些差异的强大力量就是恩典。
And that's why, so very often, it's grace that's the spark that ignites an intimate and romantic relationship.
而很多时候，恩典会带来婚姻的誓言和承诺。
And I know this is true for Jimmy and Wei Li.
而我知道于蒙和伟丽也是如此。
We gather today for their marriage, but really the reason we gather is because of grace.
我们今天为了他们的婚姻聚在一起，但真正的原因是，我们聚在一起是为了恩典。
In my first meeting with them, I asked Jimmy, "Why do you love Wei Li?"
我第一次见到他们时，我问 Jimmy， 你为什么爱伟丽？
And his response was, "I can be myself around her. I have been able to share things I have never shared with anyone."
他的回答是：我可以在他身边做我自己，我可以分享我从未与任何人分享过的东西。
And when I asked Wei Li, "Why do you love Jimmy?"
而当我问伟丽，你为什么爱 Jimmy 的时候，
her response was, "I am comfortable around him. He makes me feel beloved."
他说：我在他身边很舒服，他让我感到被爱。
Both of them have experienced grace from each other.
他们都经历过恩典，
Both of them have experienced love without conditions.
他们两人都从对方的身上经历到了无条件的爱。
As that famous author said, "We love those who know the worst of us and don't turn their faces away."
正如那位著名作家所说的，我们喜欢那些见过我们最糟糕的样子，也不离我们而去的人。
And this is how most marriages begin.
而这也是大多数婚姻开始的样子。
When we experience grace, the natural response is to love and be faithful in return.
当我们遇到恩典时，我们的反应也是以爱和忠诚来回报。
And it's a joy and a wonderful thing.
这是一件快乐而美妙的事情。
But unfortunately, in all marriages, the spark eventually fades.
但不幸的是，在所有婚姻中，火花最终都会消退。
The demands and stresses of modern life take over.
现代生活的需求和压力接踵而来，
And it's especially so once kids come along.
当孩子出现时更是如此。
Before you know it, you forget about grace, and the differences between men and women come back.
不知不觉间，你就忘记了恩典，而男人和女人之间的差异又回来了。
Marriage turns into a competition and a struggle for power.
婚姻变成了权力的竞争和斗争。
I have been up with the baby all night, the wife complains.
妻子会抱怨说：“我整晚都在陪孩子。”
Well, I have been working hard all day earning money, the husband shouts back.
而丈夫会喊道：“但我一整天都在努力工作。”
When one person in a marriage feels like they are giving up more than the other, resentment builds up.
当婚姻中的任何一方觉得自己比另一个人放弃的更多时，怨恨就会积攒起来。
grace is gone, and the relationship really feels like a competition of barter and exchange.
恩典消失了，而这种婚姻关系实际上就变成了一种易货和交换的关系。
And so very often, the competition becomes a war, and the war breaks the relationship.
所以很多的时候，竞争变成了战争，而战争破坏了关系。
Jimmy and Whaley, when you find yourselves there,
于蒙和伟丽，当你们发现自己在那样一个情境中时，
when you hit a wall in your marriage, and it feels like one of you is North Korea and the other is South Korea,
当你们在婚姻中碰壁时，感觉你们一个是北韩，一个是南韩时，
you have to go back to basics.
你们必须回归本源。
You have to remember the spark that started it all.
你们要记住这一切最开始的火花。
You have to remember grace.
你们要记住恩典。
Grace dismisses all ideas of deserving or earning.
恩典摒弃了所有索取的想法。
Grace demolishes competitions and conditions.
恩典消除了竞争和条件。
Grace doesn't allow for struggles for power because grace always gives without needing to receive.
恩典不允许我们为权力而斗争，因为恩典总是给予而不求回报。
As St. Paul puts it in our first reading,
正如我们在圣徒保罗所写的书信中所读到的，
love, or we might say grace, does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends.
爱或恩典是不做害羞的事，不求自己的益处，不轻易发怒，不计算人的恶，凡事包容，凡事相信，凡事盼望，凡事忍耐。爱是永不止息。
Only when you remember the grace you have shown each other will you be able to stand against the struggles of life.
只有当你们记住你们对彼此的恩典时，你们才能经受住生活的磨难。
And the way that grace restores a marriage in a struggle is perfectly illustrated in a famous song.
恩典如何在对峙中挽回婚姻，这在一首著名的歌曲中得到了完美的诠释。
It's called the Pina Colada Song by Rupert Holmes.
这首歌就是卢伯特·霍姆斯的歌曲《冰镇果汁朗姆酒》。
And it was a very popular song in the 70s.
这首歌在70年代非常的流行。
In the song, there is a husband and wife in a failing marriage.
这首歌是关于一对失败婚姻中的夫妻。
The man sings that him and his wife have gotten into the same old dull routine.
丈夫说，他和他的妻子陷入了同样沉闷的老套路。
And so one day, the husband lies in bed reading a newspaper and he sees an ad.
所以有一天，丈夫在报纸上看到了一则广告。
And in the ad is a woman looking for a man who likes drinking pina coladas and getting caught in the rain.
而广告里是一位女人在寻找一个喜欢喝冰镇果汁朗美酒和淋雨的男人。
And so the man secretly responds to this ad and arranges to meet this strange woman in a bar.
所以这个男人丈夫就在报纸上回应了这个广告，然后他要和这个女人在酒吧碰面。
And so he goes to the bar expecting and excited to meet this new woman.
然后这个丈夫就到酒吧和这个女人相见，他非常的激动。
And what happens next is a surprise, because the woman who enters is his own wife.
而接下来发生的事情令人惊讶，因为进来的女人竟然是他自己的妻子。
And in the words of the songs he sings, "It was my own lovely lady, and she said, 'Oh, it's you.' Then we laughed for a moment, and I said, 'I never knew.'"
用他唱的歌词来说，哦，这就是我可爱的女士。他说，哦，是你啊。然后我们笑了一会儿。
In the song, both the husband and wife were unsatisfied in their marriage.
在婚姻中，这一对夫妻双方都对婚姻不满意。
The competition and the struggle between them has worn them out.
他们之间的竞争和战斗使他们疲惫不堪。
And they both want to find love somewhere else.
他们两人都想在别处寻找爱情。
But the thing is, they both want the same thing. They just don't know it.
而他们不知道的是，他们都有着一样的追求。
And once they realize it, once they realize that they both just want to be loved, they are able to give up on their competition.
一旦他们认识到这一点，一旦他们意识到他们都只是想要被爱而已，他们就能够放弃战争。
They give up on the power struggle. They laugh and embrace each other like grace led them to in the first place.
他们放弃了权力斗争，他们大笑并再次拥抱彼此，正如恩典曾经引导他们第一次相遇一样。
So, Jimmy and Whaley, grace will make or break your marriage.
于蒙和伟丽，恩典可以成就，也可以毁掉你的婚姻。
Forgiving each other, being kind, even if the other person doesn't deserve it, these are acts of grace.
尽管你有时觉得对方或许并不值得，你也要保持善良，互相宽恕，因为这些都是恩典之举。
At times, this will feel easy, and at other times, it will feel impossible.
有的时候你会觉得这很容易，但也有的时候你会觉得这不可能。
And I want you both to know that in your own strength, you're not able to do it.
我希望你们两人都能知道，单靠你们的力量是做不到的。
But the good news is that you're not on your own.
但是好消息是，你不是一个人。
Jesus is with you, and in him you have a never-ending supply of one-way love.
主耶稣与你们同在，在他里面，你们有永无止境的单向的爱。
On the cross, we see how far God's love reaches for humanity.
在十字架上，我们看到神对人类的爱有多么的深远。
Jesus came down from heaven, became one of us, and on the cross he died the shameful death that we deserve.
耶稣从天而降，成为我们中的一员，在十字架上代我们的罪受死。
He did not do this for the lovely or the beautiful or the good.
他这样做不是为了那些可爱的、美丽的或善良的人。
Jesus died to save sinners, those who make a mess of their relationships, those who break God's commandments, and those who disappoint themselves.
耶稣是为了拯救罪人而死，是为了那些关系混乱的人，那些违反神诫命的人，那些让自己失望的人。
We might make a sacrifice for someone good.
我们可能会为好人做出牺牲。
After all, during the lockdowns, we sacrificed for the elderly, for hospital workers, and for society.
就像在封城期间，我们为老人、为医护工作者和我们的社会做出了牺牲。
But Jesus sacrificed his life for sinners.
但是耶稣是为了罪人牺牲了自己的生命。
Those who don't deserve his love, those who are unlovely, people like myself and like you.
为了那些不值得他爱的人，为了那些不可爱的人，为了像你我这样的人。
And this really is perfect, never failing grace.
这就是完美的、永不令人失望的恩典。
So look to Jesus.
所以仰望耶稣吧，
Treasure his one-way love that overflows for both of you.
珍惜他对你们俩的单向的爱。
Remember that he always forgives you.
请记住，他总是会原谅你们，
He doesn't keep a record of your wrongdoings.
他不会计算你们的罪。
And when you deeply acknowledge that you are loved without conditions, then you will slowly learn to love each other without conditions.
当你们深深地承认你被无条件的爱着时，你就会慢慢地学会无条件的去爱。
So, Jimmy and Whaley, if you want to fulfill the vows and promises that you made, if you want to love each other until death do you part, always remember that Jesus already loves you unto death, death by cross.
所以，于蒙和伟丽，如果你们想实现你们今天的誓言和承诺，如果你们想相爱，直至死亡将你们分开，请永远记住，耶稣已经爱你们，至死不渝，钉十字架而死。
Amen.
Amen.
Amen.